Hello and welcome to Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Joshua Barnes, live from the Firstpost studio. Let's begin with the top headlines. Ukraine rejects any peace deal that crosses its red lines, as Kyiv warns it will not accept compromises on sovereignty or security. This comes as Europe reacts to a US proposal seen as favouring Moscow. In Pakistan, at least 15 people have died after a massive explosion brings down a factory and nearby houses in Faisalabad, trapping several residents under debris. Officials say a gas leak likely triggered the deadly blast. Japan reaffirms its commitments to building stable, constructive ties with China, even as tensions rise after Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi warned a Taiwan contingency could threaten Japan's security. At least 5 people are killed after a 5.5 magnitude earthquake strikes Bangladesh, with tremors felt as far as the Indian city of Kolkata. And Vietnam reels under deadly floods and landslides as the death toll climbs to 41. Heavy rains have submerged towns and thousands have been hit with power outages as authorities warn of more adverse weather in the coming days. We start today with a tragic incident. A mishap occurred at the Dubai Airshow during a live flying display. India's fighter jet crashed. Let's take a look. Here is what we know. The jet was a Tejas fighter light combat aircraft. It was performing aerobatic maneuvers when the dramatic incident unfolded. The plane suddenly lost altitude and crashed. The pilot has died following the incident. The Indian Air Force has released a statement, adding it stands firmly with the bereaved family in this time of grief. Thick black smoke was seen rising from the crash site as crowds watched from viewing areas. Videos of the incident show the plane descending rapidly before impact. The IAF said a court inquiry is being ordered to ascertain what caused the crash. The aircraft involved was a single-seat Tejas fighter. It is developed by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited for the Indian Air Force. The aircraft is designed for attack missions, close combat and air defence. Known for its lightweight design and compact size, the aircraft is equipped with a 0-0 ejection seat. The designing makes it very hard for pilots to eject at times of emergencies or accidents. The Tejas is a key part of India's plan to modernise its air force. The first Tejas squadron was inducted into the Air Force in 2016. This is not the first time, though, that a Tejas jet has crashed. In March of 2024, another Tejas jet crashed in Rajasthan's Jaisalmer. During that incident, the pilots had managed to eject safely. The Dubai Airshow, where the harrowing incident unfolded, is one of the world's biggest aviation events. Airlines like Emirates and Fly Dubai have announced multi-billion-dollar deals this week. A dramatic air crash at a global airshow and serious questions now around pilot safety and aircraft performance. We'll keep tracking the updates for you. Let's now turn to Moscow. Russia says it has held in-depth strategic talks with China on missile defence and nuclear security. Russia said both parties have agreed to strengthen cooperation in key areas. On November the 20th, the Russian Foreign Ministry said seniors from both sides met in Moscow for an in-depth review of missile defence issues on what they described as destabilising factors impacting global and regional security. They also exchanged views on how to reduce those strategic risks. Both countries expressed satisfaction with their current level of cooperation and reaffirmed their commitment to deepening it. Russia was led by Defence Minister Andrei Belousov, and Beijing was represented by the Vice Chairman of China's Central Military Commission. The Russian Defence Ministry said their joint land, sea and air training activities have expanded significantly as both militaries implement agreements made by their top leaders. He noted that these efforts are aimed at ensuring the security of both countries and are not directed at any third party. He added that their military cooperation is built on mutual trust and a clear understanding of shared interests, and that he expects new horizons to emerge in defence cooperation between Russia and China. The talks come as Beijing continues a rapid expansion of its nuclear arsenal, while repeatedly rejecting Washington's call to join formal arms control negotiations alongside the United States and Russia. The discussions took place against a backdrop of shared concern over President Donald Trump's announced plan for a new nationwide missile shield, a system he calls, quote-unquote, the Golden Dome, which draws inspiration from Israel's Iron Dome. Trump has also shared his intention to resume US nuclear weapons testing after more than 3 decades.
Nuclear testing because other people test. We have other countries that test. We have more nuclear weapons than any other country. I'm the one that renovated them and built some, and I hated to do it, but I had no choice because they have it. We have more. Russia's second, and China is a distant third, but within 4 or 5 years, they're going to be up with us. What I would like to do is I would like to go denuclearization. In other words, where we have a meeting primarily of the top 3 to cut back on nuclear weapons.
And earlier this month, in response to President Trump's comments about possibly resuming nuclear testing, Russia had reiterated that it could also restart full-scale tests, but only if another nuclear-armed power moves first. Listen in.
Our principled position has been stated by the Russian President Vladimir Putin 2 years ago. In 2023, when answering a corresponding question during one of his addresses, he said that if any nuclear power conducts nuclear tests, not delivery systems tests or subcritical tests, Russia will do the same.
The US and Russia remain bound by the New START Treaty, the last nuclear limits agreement still in force. However, that treaty expires in February 2026. Moscow has proposed a 1-year extension to maintain existing warhead caps and allow room for further negotiations. However, the Trump administration has not issued a formal reply yet. For both Russia and China, these latest talks signal a deepening alignment on strategic security, at a moment when global arms control is entering a period of serious uncertainty. Moving on now to a sharp shockwave ripping through the crypto world. Bitcoin has crashed to its lowest level since April, tumbling to a little over the $82,000 mark. Months of gains vanished in a single Thursday sell-off as traders rushed to exit riskier assets. And what triggered this sudden panic? Surprisingly, it wasn't anything happening with the crypto market itself. It was old-school economic data, the kind that usually moves stocks and bonds, not digital coins. America's latest jobs reports came in far stronger than expected. The economy added 119,000 new jobs, more than double what economists had predicted. On the surface, strong hiring sounds like good news, but in financial markets, it sends another message. The US Federal Reserve may not cut interest rates in December after all. And that instantly changed everything. The CME Group's FedWatch tool, which traders use to guess the Fed's next move, now shows only a 40% chance of a December rate cut. And when rate cuts look less likely, investors quickly pull money out of speculative assets. Crypto sits right at the top of that list. Bitcoin wasn't the only one hit. Ethereum and XRP are trading more than 5% down. Dogecoin too is down by around 7%. What's interesting is that the crash happened on the same day Nvidia posted blockbuster earnings, sending AI stocks soaring. Normally, crypto rides with big tech because many traders invest in both AI and digital assets together. But yesterday, that connection flipped. Since early October, the crypto market has faced a chain of forced liquidations. That's when traders who borrowed heavily to bet on rising prices are forced to sell when the market drops. Those rapid sell-offs revealed how fragile the system still is when confidence suddenly shifts.
But be careful, like any other thing, when you go in big and you see swings of 25% in a blink of an eye, that should raise a little bit of cautionary tale. These things could move quickly.
Just a few months ago, crypto was flying high. Bitcoin crossed $100,000 in late 2024 as investors bet that the Trump presidency would bring friendlier policies. A year later, the market has now lost over $1 trillion in just 6 weeks, erasing nearly all of this year's gains. So why is Bitcoin falling now? Well, part of it is fear. Fear that an AI bubble may be forming. And when investors get nervous, they dump the riskiest assets first. More broadly, another reason is the lingering anxiety over Trump's earlier threats of new tariffs on China. And then there are big investors pulling money out of Bitcoin EFTs this month, forcing funds to sell large amounts of crypto quickly. This selling pressure has pushed prices lower and hurt market confidence. The bigger picture is clearer than ever. Crypto is no longer moving only on blockchain upgrades or industry news. It is reacting to the same forces that move traditional markets, inflation numbers, payroll data, and interest rate expectations. And that sets the stage for what comes next. In this new market era, even the world's most famous digital currency can rise or fall based on something as simple as how many Americans got hired last month. And in crypto, that might be the most surprising plot twist of all. And the Miss Universe pageant has finally wrapped up. And congratulations to Miss Mexico, Fatima Bosch, who has been crowned Miss Universe 2025 in Bangkok. But let's be honest, the real winner this season was chaos. In a year where the pageant's relevance is under heavy scrutiny and its audience is shrinking, Miss Universe somehow reinvented itself as a fully unhinged, binge-worthy reality show. It had everything: power struggles, walkouts, corruption allegations, injuries, diplomatic drama, and also a TikTok scandal involving fake drugs. Let's take a look back at the biggest off-the-rails moments of Miss Universe 2025, a season so dramatic. The scandals took a literal turn when Miss Jamaica, Gabriella Henry, fell off stage during the evening wear segment. Footage showed her gliding forward in a sparkling orange gown and then vanishing off the edge. She had to be stretchered out and was admitted to the hospital. Even West Asian geopolitics made an appearance. Miss Palestine Nadine Ayoub wore a gown featuring the Dome of the Rock, turning the runway into a geopolitical statement. Meanwhile, Miss Israel claimed she received death threats after an alleged side-eye to Ayoub, something she later blamed on misleading editing. It was a collision of beauty, politics, and viral drama. Very 2025, very Miss Universe. If anyone still wasn't paying attention, the pageant forced itself back into the headlines when dozens of contestants walked out over a live-stream photo op. The catalyst, a pageant executive, had allegedly berated Miss Mexico Fatima Bosch for not posting a promotional photo shoot, claiming she had been ordered not to by her national director. At one point, Bosch, poised, calm, and now Miss Universe 2025, attempted to defend herself and walked out. A chain reaction followed. Contestants, including reigning Miss Universe Victoria Kaya, stood up and left with her. The Miss Universe executive issued an apology and then stepped down.
I didn't say dumb head even 1 second. So could you please check it again in our Facebook, Miss Universe Thailand. I said damn it. If she believe and listen, national director is damn it to you or to the queen, I forgot it. But I said damn it. Not dumb head. Not dumb head.
But Bosch stayed and eventually won the crown. Next up is Miss Chile in a mall. Her TikTok featured her pretending to snort a line of white powder from a compact before cutting to herself in full glam. To her credit, Moll immediately deleted the clip and apologised. She explained that her makeup artist had encouraged her and that she misunderstood the concept due to a language barrier. The makeup artist later took responsibility for the thoughtless idea. As the finale neared, things somehow got worse. A judge resigned, accusing organisers of pre-selecting the top 30 before the competition even began, packing the panel with people who had personal ties to the contestants. Just days before the pageant even kicked off, the Miss Universe CEO, who bought the organisation for $20 million back in 2022, suddenly stepped down. Her departure came amid financial trouble for her company and allegations of misleading financial disclosures. With global audiences thinning and critics questioning whether beauty pageants still have a place in modern culture, Miss Universe needed a reboot. Instead, it delivered a meltdown, and strangely, it worked. The pageant was trending, regressive, debated, memed, live-streamed and stitched across TikTok. Low-effort YouTube streaming made it accessible once again. The scandals made it irresistible. And at the centre of it all, Fatima Bosch, the woman who walked out, stood her ground and walked back in to win it all. Well, that's all we have time for on the show. We'll see you again tomorrow at the same time. Until then, thank you for watching.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on Firstpost.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost Live, where we bring you the day's top 4 stories from across the world. I am Joshua Barnes, live from the Firstpost studios. Let's begin with the headlines. The US confirms agreeing to a NATO-style security guarantee for Ukraine, along with its European allies. Under the draft peace pact, any attack on Ukraine will be regarded as an attack on the wider transatlantic region. At least 3 people are killed after a 5.5 magnitude earthquake strikes Bangladesh, with tremors felt as far as the Indian city of Kolkata. UN climate talks head into their final day in Brazil's Belém, after disruption due to a massive fire at the summit venue. The countries at the COP30 summit are still sharply split over reducing fossil fuel consumption. Taiwan's tech giant Foxconn and ChatGPT